Welcome to the Unesh Value Train, where, if you're keeping score at home, you're definitely encouraged to follow your dreams here on the Unesh Value Train. That is the only thing that we require if you're going to be flying on today's trip into outer space, and we've got a beautiful opening hand. 3 lands, Burnished Heart, and a couple Sphinxes. This is great. So we're going to lead off with the Island, and then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over our opponent. We're playing against Karametra, God of Harvest Moon. So we're playing Unesh, the official driver of the Value Train into outer space, where you're encouraged to follow your dreams. Flying Sphinx spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Then, whenever Unesh or another Sphinx enters the battlefield under your control, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put 1 pile into your hand, the other pile into your graveyard. So we run into Sphinx of Foresight. It's been nice to have that in our opening hand. Let's go Island. That way we can represent the counter spell and then kick it over to our opponent. Play against Karametra, God of Harvest Moon. Indestructible Devotion 5? Devotion 7. Karametra turns into a creature. Then, whenever you cast a creature spell, you may search your library for a 4-star Plains card, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Now, I do like to note that with Karametra, let's go Burnished Heart. It's going to be 1, 2, 3. And we'll kick it back over there. With Karametra, if you're new to Magic, the fact that Karametra says capital Forest, capital Plains, that can certainly be a basic, but it can also be a dual source. So something like Temple Garden, that is a forest and a plains. With it being capital Forest or Plains, you're not limited to a basic. So if Karametra is something that floats your boat, and you wanted to find just like that. So our opponent has Nature Lore and it says Forest, and that is a Forest Plain. So you're not limited to a basic with Karametra. I always like to point that out that way. If you're new to Magic, it's kind of one of those opponents off to, I've got a ton of ramp. I'm trying not to be jealous over there, but yeah, they've got a ton of ramp. The good thing about Unesh Value Train is that we've got some pretty fast engines on this ship, so we can go out into outer space pretty quick. And then if all they're doing is getting down some flying threats, or if this is just a Karametra good stuff, then we should be in a pretty good position to hopefully kind of muddy the board up with a lot of these Sphinxes, especially once we get down to Unesh. Now, one thing that would certainly help us out is we could find some sort of mana rock or mana ramp that'll help us get out really quick. But hey, we'll take an island. That's fair game. So we go Island. Now, we do have Cryptic Command, and we do have an active Burnished Heart. So, let's do this. Let's just go and pass the turn. We can't get Unesh down just yet, but once we end up going for the Burnished Heart activation, that's going to put 2 basics on the battlefield. That'll be... We've got 4. That'll be just enough to get down Unesh, and that'll really allow us to kind of start cracking through our library and getting down some of these Sphinxes. So we're not in a too terribly of a bad spot, but we do have the opportunity to at least kind of counter something with Stubborn Denial. If we do end up going for the Burnished Heart activation, Stubborn Denial is one of those cards that you run it in Unesh, and it feels so good, because if you have an early game, you can catch something pretty quick like a Soul Ring, but then late in the game, when you get down Unesh and you have a ton of other Sphinxes, it just feels really good to be able to catch something with Stubborn Denial, having a 1 mana counter spell. That's always nice. So, and let's see what else our opponent's going to end up going for. Now, they only have 2 cards in the hand, and we're going to see just right off the bat a Reason the Redeemed activation. So they might have kind of just ran out of gas for a little bit. We're still going to leave up Cryptic Command, see if there's anything that we want to counter. This is during our, let's see what they're going for. Put a +1 counter. Yeah, that's fine. That's going to get a lot of counters on that. That's going to allow them to swing it for 4. It's going to put us down to 23, and that'll leave us open for the Burnished Heart activation with them only having 1 mana open. So let's go ahead and go for Burnished Heart. It's going to be 1, 2, 3. Now, once we do end up getting out of Unesh, unfortunately, our opponent will be able to block with Unesh. Well, not necessarily block, but we can't trade with the Voice of Plenty on their side of the battlefield. But once we get down a fly, ooh, Ancient Tomb, that is exactly what we needed to see. So let's go ahead and go for Unesh. That's going to be 1, 2. And we'll tap down 1 more mana. Now, that will give us a reduced cost for Sphinx of Foresight. We can immediately get that down, get an additional Factor of Fiction, and then hopefully we can kind of bounce back from this one. But let's see what we draw into, or at least kind of get this Factor of Fiction pile going. Okay, so we're going to go Dig Through Time and Amoeboid Changeling. I guess at this point, I'm actually pretty okay with, well, we definitely don't have the Metalcraft online yet, and Shapeshifter and then Amoeboid Changeling is basically the same thing. So, let's just go and take pile 2. We're going to get some really nice Factor Fictions going, and I like getting down Sphinx of Foresight. Yeah, let's go for that. That'll be another pile that we can go for. We could leave up Stubborn Denial, but I want to try to get as much card advantage into our hand as possible. So we're going to get another Sphinx pile going, and I'll see how they want to... Ooh, look at that. That's some good magic right there. Yeah, and they're definitely going to split up the, Cyclonic Rift, Soul Ring. I think at this point, yeah, we're going to take pile one. That Cyclonic Rift is going to be such a good card in this matchup, especially if our opponent got off to a quick start. They're kind of running out of gas. This will certainly allow us to hopefully kind of stabilize. If we're worried about taking a little bit more damage, we at least do have Sphinx of Foresight to kind of jump in front of Shalai. A Voice of Plenty. And then let's go ahead and get all of our Sphinxes together. Now you may be sitting there looking at a Meeboy Changeling. That does not look like a Sphinx. It is a Sphinx. If you look real close, you can kind of see in that blob of mass that is a Sphinx. It is a Changeling. This card is every creature type. So if you're building Unesh, in fact, if you're new to Commander and you want to build a really fun deck, Unesh can be built really cheap. I haven't looked at card prices, but a lot of these Sphinxes, there's not really a home for a lot of these Sphinxes, and then stuff like a Meeboy Changeling, you can get that down and for just 1 blue mana and end up with an additional Factor Fiction, and that is some good magic. Now our opponent's going to go for Acidic Slime. We'll probably end up seeing Acidic Slime go for Ancient Tomb. Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to go for. With us having Cyclonic Rift, they do have the active Karametra sitting at 8, so if we could just bounce everybody back to the hand, that'll be a really nice way for us to kind of hit the reset button. And let's see, yeah, they're going to be swinging with Karametra. We're going to have a Voice of Plenty swinging in for a 4/5. I think at this point, if we take 4, that's going to put us down to 17. Yeah, at the beginning of our upkeep, we get to scry 1. Do we want to take a 10 hit and put us down to 11 just to get that scry? No, I think we're going to throw Sphinx of Foresight in front of Karametra. We can live at 17, but getting down to 11, that gets a little bit iffy on that. And then let's see, draw to an island. So let's get island down. Now, we are definitely online for a Cyclonic Rift, sending everything back to our opponent's hand. If we end up doing that, that's going to be an Acidic Slime that they can go for, get another land. I think if we want to hit the reset button, yeah, let's see. Let's go and push in with Unesh. There's nothing right now that has reach. I just want to double check really quick. Yeah, nothing with reach. Let's go and push in with Unesh. It's going to be 4. It's going to put them down to 20. And then even if we don't want to go through Cyclonic Rift, we can actually just leave up Cryptic Command. And I think can we still get down a Sphinx and end up going for Cryptic Command, because that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we can actually still get down a Meeboy Changeling. So let's tap down 1 blue mana. Look at that. Factor Fiction for 4. That's a Sphinx out there. Even though Karametra is going to object to that. Ooh, and then Rite of Replication. Okay. That is definitely some good stuff. And yeah, I think we just end up taking Rite of Replication. Yeah. Because that's going to be 9. We do have to get to 9 mana for that. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, let's take pile 1. That's going to be really good. We can even Rite of Replication on Acidic Slime, blowing up a lot of their stuff. So we do have 7 cards in the hand. Let's simply just go ahead and pass the turn to our opponent. We should be able to jam a... yeah, and actually, we can actually end up going for Dig Through Time, delving away our library, and still have Cryptic Command up. So that way we at least kind of stop whatever sort of assault that they're going to go for. Let's say they end up drawing it a Crater Hoof. It'd be a fun way to counter that spell and tap down their creatures. But you can definitely see this is exactly what the Unesh deck wants to do. Get down to Meeboy Changeling for 1 blue mana, get a Factor Fiction, and just really start stocking your hand with a ton of really good threats. So now that we're at the beginning of the combat step, let's go for Cryptic Command. We're going to tap all creatures and draw a card. Okay, so in response to that, they're going to create an elf token, which is manageable. With this Cryptic Command, it's basically just going to buy us another turn to hopefully make another land drop. And with Dig Through Time, we're going to be able to dig really deep into this value train to find something to show off for Karametra. Oh, and actually, they're going to go for Beast Within on Reliquary Tower. Do we want to Stubborn Denial that? I mean, that does cut us off Cyclonic Rift, but with Dig Through Time, yeah, we can make that work. That's fine. Yeah, because we really want to stick a Dig Through Time. That does put us at 6 total blue mana, and still gives us a Beast token too, so I think we'll be okay. So we're going to tap down the creatures, cash another card draw, draw into Conundrum Sphinx. Tap down their entire board, and we're going to stick this Dig Through Time at our opponent's instep. And Guruk Primal Hunter. Or we could actually end up going for Stubborn Denial. I think that would be a really good option. Yeah, because they end up going for that -3. That is not good. So I think we just go straight up Stubborn Denial. And you can see how good this card is. I mentioned it earlier. Once you get down to Unesh, it's basically just a 1 mana counterspell for anything that you're trying to do. Now, unfortunately, it does keep us off Dig Through Time. But, hey, that's we'll definitely take that. So let's see what we draw into. Drawn to Shrine. Actually, we're going to have some really good devotion. That was a really good card. So we get down to Shrine. Yeah, and I think at this point we just flood the board out because once we get Devotion with Rite of Replication and Shrine, we'll definitely be in a really good spot. So let's go Conundrum Sphinx. That's going to be just 2 blue mana. And that's going to be, ooh, and actually with Aether Spouts, that is perfect because if they decide to swing it with their entire crew, we can put Aether Spouts instead of Cyclonic Rift. We can now Pan-Harmonicon is an absolutely wonderful card to grab. And I think we can chain together enough value to where we want to leave up Aether Spouts. So we're going to click OK on that. And at this point, we tap down 2 more. That's going to give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll give us just enough Devotion. Do we have anything that we can get down for 2 for each attacking creature? You know what? I think at this point, let's just go ahead and, well, if they end up swinging with Acidic Slime, I guess that's not too bad. But let's leave up Aether Spouts. I think we're okay with that. So let's go ahead and push in with Unesh. And there's a lot of times where sometimes you can get really lucky with Unesh and close the game out with commander damage. But at this point right now, we're in a really good position. So it's going to knock it down to 8 commander damage, 16 total. Let's just go ahead and pass the turn. Yeah, I'd like leaving up Aether Spouts, because that's going to make it a little bit hard for them, if they start to put creatures on top of their library. And with this Mana Crypt, if we get lucky with the few Mana Crypt triggers, well, unfortunately, they did get that one right, but if we have a few Mana Crypt triggers that go our way, then we might be able to kind of squeeze it out with some flying damage in the air. We at least do have 8 damage coming across. That's going to put them down to 8 for next turn, and then we'll be able to at least kind of fog out another turn. And then we'll kind of decide what we ended up going for with the Rite of Replication. Now, the only downside with the Rite of Replication is that they do have Voice of Plenty on the battlefield, and we can't target one of these creatures out there if they have hexproof. So that's going to be one way that they can kind of stop that. Guardian Project, yeah, that's fine. They have nothing else they can cast. We'll be able to leave up Aether Spouts, and once again, we can still try to jam this Dig Through Time. And the good thing with Dig Through Time is we might be able to find Force of Will if we need to stop something from our opponents. So they're going to swing in with the Acidic Slime, the Elf Warrior tokens, and if that's all they're going to do, then we can definitely take a hit for 5. That'll put us down to 12. That's no problem. Okay, so we're going to go Beast Token on one of the Elf tokens. And I guess technically, yeah, let's go for this. Let's go Beast Token on Acidic Slime. That's at least going to get rid of Acidic Slime if they want to dump a few extra counters onto Voice of Plenty. Yeah, that's okay. We can survive that. All right, so we're going to get rid of Acidic Slime. That's going to go into the graveyard. And we end up losing the Beast Token. And that's going to put us on Dig Through Time. So let's go and jam a Dig Through Time at this point. We're going to add our Devotion. And we're going to delve away a pretty good chunk of our library, of our graveyard. Okay, so we're going to go for Dig Through Time. We still have at least 3 mana left over if we grab something that's an instant speed, or we have some sort of Sphinx that does have flash. Saskia, Swan Song, Gilded Lotus, and then Cage Sun, which might actually work out with Cage Sun. That'll be a pretty big chunk of mana for us to be able to get that extra mana. Let's do this. Let's go Cage Sun. And then I guess we end up going for Sakashima, because we grab her. That's going to allow us to keep bouncing it back and keep getting a few more Sphinxes. Or do we go for Temple of the False God? I'll immediately be able to get that down and have some extra mana. Actually, let's go Swan Song. I like that a little bit better. So we're going to put those on the bottom in any order. Swan Song is going to give us some really nice protection. There's nothing else that we can flash in. And then, yes, we will definitely lose that mana, though, and kick it back over here. So ooh, there we go. Hit Force of Will. So we go Manamo, and then nothing. They do have a Voice of Plenty that does have reach. If we actually just want to, all right, opponent's going to scoop it up because we can actually just jam. I was just about to say we can just jam a Cyclonic Rift. That's going to allow us to swing in for 8 in the air, knock them down to 8, and then they have to rebuild their board state. They can still get down Voice of Plenty to kind of stop the threat in the air. But at this point right now, we've got an embarrassment of riches in our hand. This is the value trade. I would like to go really quick, so you can see where we're going to be able to swing in for 8, knock them down to 8. And then bounce everything back with Cyclonic Rift. And, we even get in a position where we can keep kind of chaining together some of these Sphinxes and really build up some devotion with Shrine to Nyx. So you can see where our opponent did get rid of Ancient Tomb, but, value train. We have a one-stop destination that's following your dreams into outer space. And Unesh and I would certainly like to thank you for flying on the value train today. I know there's a lot of value trains you could fly on. And so the fact that you decided to fly on our value train, that makes our hearts very happy. So, if you enjoyed your time on the value train, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.